What is up, you guys? It is hot out there. I am a little bit worn out, a little bit sweaty, but that's all right. All you can think about this time of year is the upcoming whitetail deer season. For a lot of us, that means getting out there and slinging some arrows. If you're like me, you like to get out there and sling them from 80 and 100 yards. And without an archery backstop, that means you're going to lose some arrows. So I got a little bit of time today. We're going to be setting up another archery backstop. And all you're gonna need is a nice horse stall mat. I think you can get those from Tractor Supply somewhere around 60 bucks, I think. This one I got a little bit while ago, so it's one I had laying around. Then a nice little piece of 1/2 inch PVC, some rope, and if you're lucky, my big tip for you is to look around at department stores, around the dumpsters, or when they do some seasonal changes. A lot of times they get rid of these clothing racks. Let's give you a closer look at that. This one is just about the perfect size. Only thing we got to do is cut that stall mat just a little bit shorter and we'll be good to go. So we got everything we need. We got a nice little metal rack that'll last really well outdoors. Horse stall mat, a little bit of PVC, and some rope. So let's get to work. Step 1, make sure the mat fits the stand that you have. Luckily for me, it is perfect width-wise, but it is just a little bit long. So I got to cut a little bit off the bottom of it, and it's pretty easy to do. I'm sure you could do it with a box cutter if you really had to, or a handsaw or a hacksaw or something like that. I like to use a circular saw just because it's quick and easy, but be careful, it can pinch the blade and give you some kickback, so watch out for that. These things are heavy. I don't know how much they weigh, but they're like 70, 80 pounds, and they're flexible, so it's super awkward. If you don't have a spot like me where you can back the truck up and just slide it out of the truck bed, be sure you get somebody to help, because as strong as I am, it's a pain. Getting one of these into the truck from the store is almost impossible without help. So get help if you need it. Let's measure out where we want to make our cut. Once you get it lined up, it's a good way to mark it just with a box cutter. And now I have my line for my cut, so let's get this thing cut. When you are cutting this, a great way to do it is to get 2 nice and flat surfaces. Luckily for me, I've got a nice table saw with a giant outfeed table that helps support it, with a good gap right down the middle of it. Last time I did it, I think I had it laying in my truck bed, and then I just put out 2 sawhorses and adjusted them enough to where it wasn't flopping around anymore. You definitely don't want it hanging off the end of the table, trying to hold it and trying to cut it with the other hand. That's a disaster. When you get to cutting this thing, don't forget your safety goggles, whatever these things are, safety glasses, as it throws rubber crap everywhere. No matter how you have this supported, one little trick is to not push down on the circular saw. You actually want to slightly lift up on the circular saw, and that'll keep the mat from binding on the blade, and let the saw do the work. Super important. If you start working that thing in there, you're gonna have problems. Like I said, it flings rubber everywhere. Wear glasses. I don't know if you can see, but I got black stuff all over me. After you've slung nasty rubber stuff all over your shop, go ahead and clean that up. If you're wondering about these weird angles, I'm in the shop filming by myself today, and it kind of makes it easier when I don't have to move the cameras around. Next step is to cut out these little holders from our 1/2 inch PVC. I found out on the last one that I did, about 4 inches between each holder is perfect for holding the weight. And what these do is it kind of relieves pressure, I guess you can say, from the rope and helps prevent tearing out your mat. The most important section for these is across the top, so that's where we have the most of them. And on mine, it ends up being right at 12 of these little pieces. And if you get it anywhere close to 3/4 of an inch, that's about the thickness of the main portion of the mat. That'll be good. I think the exact measurement is 11/16, but it doesn't really matter that much. All right, now we move back over to our mat, and like I said, all you got to do is just rough estimate where you need them. I do mine right at 4 inches on center, and it worked in the past, so we should be good to go this time. I found that these paddle bits or spade bits, whatever you call them, work out the best. I tried a Forstner bit on it, and it did a pretty good job, but it left a lot of junk at the end of the cut. And I didn't even try a regular drill bit because I'm pretty sure that would just make a mess. So if you got one spade bit, paddle bit just like this, 7/8 of an inch is just perfect. So in the sides, I really only put like 5 holes or so, and then you should be good to go. And I don't even use the PVC on the side because it's really not holding any weight, and it's really not going to tear that mat. All we got to do is take these little 1/2 inch PVC pieces and pop them into the holes. No gluing or anything like that. Friction's going to hold them in, and when it's all tied up to your stand, the rope's going to help hold them in place. Like I said before, this kind of just spreads out the pressure on the rope, and it helps prevent your stall mat from tearing. Alright, so this is pretty much the final step, and there's really no secret to it. It all comes down to what you feel like doing, really. I just use this real basic rope you can get at Lowe's. I want to say this was 50 feet, and this allowed me to do, or have enough to do, 2 of these archery backstops. I guess if you really wanted to sit here, you could do a single loop on each hole, but I feel like that would take a lot of time and take up a lot of rope. The other one I have has been out there for almost 2 years now, and it's held up so far. I alternate holes with one rope all the way down, tie that one off, and then I come back with another rope. That way, if one rope does break, I do have a second one for a backup. Alright, so we got this thing standing up, the top is tied off. You don't necessarily need the sides tied off, but it does make it easier when you're moving it around, and the mat is going to swing on you. When you do tie it off, just be sure you don't tie it tight so the mat can still move when an arrow hits, and it'll stop it every time for you. We will try it out tomorrow and let you guys see how it works. Alright, what's up guys? It's the next day. We got our archery backstop finished up last night, but I didn't have time to test it, so we're going to do that for you right now. Last thing I did was tie a couple of these side loops on, loose enough to where the mat can still wiggle around and absorb the impact of the arrow. Really the purpose for those side loops is just to keep it, when you're moving it around, the mat doesn't go flapping out and falling over and making it a big pain to move. So that's it. Finished product is ready to go. We're going to sling some arrows at it. Just like we said, stops arrows really well. We'll show you guys what that looks like. That is about 275 feet per second with a 480 grain arrow from about 3 yards away. Don't worry, the bow's in tune. That's just the variations of the mat, making those arrows look like that. There you go, DIY backstop. Spend you guys about 70 bucks, save you hundreds of dollars in arrows. If you do one of these backstops, be sure to get an arrow puller because these are a pain to remove, but it makes it a lot easier.
If you found any of this video useful, or you liked just a little bit of it at least, and you want to see more, do me a favor. Go to the comment section with any of your questions, leave a compliment, and hey, even an insult. But don't forget, like, subscribe, click the notification bell.